You're watching Real Simple News on July 3rd, 2020. I'm your host, Cale McCullough, and today's top story, Facebook has been caught censoring conservatives in a new Project Veritas undercover operation, and I even have proof that Facebook, in fact, even censored me for criticizing Black Lives Matter. Another top story, Twitch suspends Donald Trump's account for hateful conduct. And Twitter removes a Trump tweet over a copyright violation. And as you can see right over here, we have the image over here. And it's displayed perfectly legally over here because this video is 100% my intellectual property. And if you would like to challenge that, you're going to have to take me to court. And I will sue you if you want to claim that I violated copyright law and then you tell other people that I violated the law and then you don't allow me to then speak for myself. So in the top news story here today, from the Washington Times, Facebook moderators brag about deleting pro-Trump posts in a Project Veritas sting. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has long insisted that the company is politically neutral, but the same apparently can't be said for its content moderators. Yeah, right. The social media giant said it would review its training and oversight after a Project Veritas sting released Tuesday, which was when this was released June 23rd, 2020, which was like a week ago. So a little bit late on this one. I was supposed to cover it in the last show, but I didn't. The social media giant said it would review its training and oversight after Project Veritas sting released Tuesday showed moderators on hidden camera footage claiming that they delete pro-Trump and conservative posts. That company harbors an anti-Trump bias and that Facebook shadow bans content despite its claim to the contrary. And you're going to see here in just a second that, well, obviously they're shadow banning conservative content because they're shadow banning me. So this video from Project Veritas is rather long. We're not going to go too far into it. I'm not going to go too far into it because this one's a YouTube video. So we have to move on. You should go watch the entire video over there on Project Veritas because it's just too long for me to cover. So here is what they did to me here on Facebook. I had deleted my account a while back, and then I restarted my account, and so they said I was spamming. So you tell me whether or not you think this is spam. The comment says, we're talking about, obviously we're talking about the black crime rate. It says, look at the murder rates. They're sky high. Black people kill twice as many white people, and there are 6 times as many white people. So that's a 12-to-1 kill ratio. And black people kill 6 times as many people as white people. White people in other cities can't fix the violence problem in Democrat cities. They have to take care of it on their own. Well, no shit, Sherlock. They can't just riot, loot, and destroy their neighborhoods where poor people live and need to buy food and medicine for their family. And they can't, when it's burned down, there's no epidemic of police violence, and there is an epidemic of black and Mexican violence. And so in this, I've covered this article here a lot. I'm not really going to go into it, but that was marked as spam. It says this goes against our community standards on spam. And this happened a bunch of times, and it was all on Black Lives Matter posts. And you could see here, I'm talking about, I'd been studying World War II history, communist history for answers. Historically, intraracial violence has been far greater problem. Look at the number of people black people kill compared to white people. And then here's the same, going into the same argument here and showing the same article. And so as you can see on Facebook, if you try to make the argument more than once, it is now considered spam. Like, I don't work for the IBT. So a couple of these, they did say they It said this one was spam. It said what? It said George Floyd's final autopsy said Floyd's heart attack was caused by fentanyl poisoning. Apparently, this is spam on Facebook. This content goes against our community's concerns on spam. And so it looked like originally they had said, no, it wasn't spam. And then it said, then later changed their mind and then said that this was spam. I mean, if it's spam, it's not going to my website or, cause that's realsimplenews.net. So it's not really about that. Let's see. It's about controlling the election. And so there was this video here here's an example of the new Facebook fact checking system that I don't know who fact checks this or what, but this video is about a QAnon video. And so here's what it says. It says primary claims in the information are factually inaccurate. It says false. This video is a collection of previously debunked claims without factual support. And so it's got a fact check logo on here, right? And it says, how are third party fact checkers selected on Facebook? And then so it goes through here. Some blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And doesn't really tell you too much. Doesn't tell you anything about it. Curious about, it's the same link. So, but just to show you what it was. Here, how do we do this? And so, kind of a bunch of cockamamie bullshit here. Here, let me do something real quick here. Okay, hey, my mic's still on. Sorry, I've been having audio problems. This air mouse is so awesome, though. I'm loving it. So let's see what else is there. This video, it's about QAnon, which is a conspiracy. Hold on, it's a conspiracy allegation. It's not just a theory. So I'm not going to go too much into this because it's. You should watch this video. It is called COVID 9/11, the Deep State Insurgency. And there is very strong evidence towards the fact that this QAnon thing is actually legit. And one very strong piece of evidence that we have that I could just explain to you real quickly is Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein had a hooker network. It wasn't a pedophile network. That's false information. It was a standard hooker network. And statistically speaking, where you have an 18-year-old hooker, you're going to have a 17-year-old hooker. And where you have a 17-year-old hooker, you're going to have a 16-year-old hooker, and so on down the line until you hit the dark web. And so Jeffrey Epstein, we know that he got busted in some Lolita hooker thing. And I don't think everything was exactly like they said. But he was associating with the Clintons. This is a fact. And it is a fact that Russians do exploit things like this in order to get compromise on politicians. There's nothing fishy about that at all. This is something completely believable. And so we know the Russians have been engaging in all kinds of operations with the elections. We know that they put out false information in the Steele dossier that Donald Trump had sex with hookers and did golden showers in a hotel in Russia. And this doesn't make any sense because Donald Trump doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs, he's a family man, and he's a businessman. But what does make sense is that they couldn't get compromise on Donald Trump. And then therefore they released false information because they were trying to get Hillary Clinton elected, because the Democrats are extremely corrupt and they're working with the Chinese and the Russians because these people have companies and business dealings over there. They work with the Chinese. They do everything the Chinese say because they want to go sell their product over there. They're so extremely corrupt. The Republicans usually don't engage in this because they care more about free speech. So go check out Leroy Jenkins' video here at COVID 9/11 Deep State Insurgency. It's excellent. And I'm going to tell you right now, none of this has been debunked. I debunk fake news. This show is about debunking fake news. This has not been debunked, but it's longer. I'm not going to go into it. It's 9 minutes. Can't really cover it. Sorry. Trying to get that off of there. Let's see. So they're having this ad boycott on Facebook, and over 400 advertisers hit the pause button on Facebook, threatening the $70 billion juggernaut. And so there's a bunch of wingnuts. And this isn't going to... Okay, so if you bow down to these wingnuts, they're not just going to go away, right? They know they can win here. They're going to keep going, man. This shit ain't going to stop. You crazy if you think this shit is going to stop. So the article says, when the Stop Hate for Profit campaign launched just 2 weeks ago, its organizers had not yet pursued a single advertiser to boycott Facebook in July. Now more than 400 companies from Coca-Cola to Adidas, Ford, Lego have vowed to halt advertising on the social network in a growing protest over how it handles hate speech and other harmful conduct. For Rashad Robinson, this moment was a long time coming. Quote, Facebook has given advertisers no other option because of their failure time again to address the very real and visible problems on their platform, Robinson, president of the civil rights group Color for Change, told NPR. Color for Change is part of a coalition behind Stop Hate for Profit, which includes Anti-Defamation League. The Anti-Defamation League is crap. Absolute, complete BS. Like, any sort of reason why people were anti-Semitic is long gone. The reason why Hitler was anti-Semitic was because Jews were Marxist during that period of time. Jews are not Marxist during that period of time. Before World War II, Jews were advocating for genocide. In fact, they took over the Russian army with the Soviets, and they even committed a genocide with the Russian Jews at the helm. It was the Holodomor massacre. I've covered this a couple of times here on the show. And that's why Hitler hated. Like, they whitewashed after World War II. Our history got whitewashed, but what they didn't tell you was that Stalin ended up killing the Russian Jews because the Russian Jews helped kill the Ukrainians in the Holodomor famine massacre, or a famine genocide. Sorry, and that's just the way Stalin worked. He was like, okay, well, this group of people was dangerous, and then he killed them, and now those people no longer exist, and Jews are no longer Marxist, right? They're totally like a bastion of sanity over there in the Middle East. Like, we're very glad that we have Israel over there because there are so many crazies over there. It's crazy. We don't need Anti-Defamation League. Like, I'll sit here and I'll tell you the truth about these people, but I support Israel. Like, I completely support Israel. I think that they are some of the most sane people. I believe in a one-state solution. I think they just need to end it. They tried to make a one-state solution in the past, and the Palestinians just turned it down. I think that's just completely bozo. Come on, man. You want to live in a concentration camp? You are an idiot. So these people boycotting, what it seems like to me is that there's a combination of leftists, and then there's other people who think there's a lot of hate on Facebook, and then women control 85% of consumer spending, and they own almost 2/3 of the wealth in the United States. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. They say they're underpaid, but they work 50 minutes less per day than men, and they control 2/3 of the wealth and 85% of the consumer spending. So I'm calling bullshit on the WAMN, but they are the ones that are in control of the advertising dollars. So it's not whether or not they have to say whatever their customer thinks the hate's coming from. There is hate on there. There's obviously a growth of hate, but it's not coming from the right. It's obviously coming from the far left. But the reality is that it's coming from China because of something that I'll cover here in a minute. Don't want to get too far deep into it. This next article from CNBC says Needham's Laura Martin says Facebook's ad boycott could last through the election. I think this Tells you everything right here. It's not about hate speech. No, it's absolutely not about hate speech. No, it is 100%. Sorry. It's 100% about the election. It's about the leftists, the radical leftists getting everything that they want. It's always been about that. Never been about anything else. And so what does this article say? It says earlier this month, the Anti-Defamation League and 5 other companies called on corporations to drop advertising with Facebook for the month of July in protest of the social media giant's content moderation policy. I think that we should boycott Facebook because of them moderating the content on Facebook. Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO, National Director of the ADL, joined Squawk Box to discuss. And so this was just a video. But it tells you exactly the title. All you need to know from this article is the title. Oh, wait, hold on. Dang it.
Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg have just scheduled a meeting with...
Sorry. Sorry. Messed up here. Air Mouse is getting to be a little bit hard to control. Oh, I guess it was just a video anyways. So, that's the last time Black Lives Matter was trending was right before the 26th presidential election. I was actually one of the people who helped start the 2016 Portland anti-Trump protests back when I was a brainwashed, radicalized feminist. And I watched MSNBC and CNN all the time. And I actually believed the garbage that came out of it. And I definitely see the same pattern. Everybody else is seeing the same pattern. Black Lives Matter trended before the last presidential election. It's trending before this presidential election. Why? Because they're trying to get their candidate elected. And why? Because there are people who are getting money for the advertisements and for donations to Black Lives Matter. In this next article from The Independent, it says Twitch bans Trump account for hateful conduct. Twitch said that it does not make exceptions for political noteworthy content. Video game streaming platform Twitch has confirmed it has suspended the channel of Donald Trump for quote unquote hateful conduct. Mr. Trump's accounts were used to stream previous presidential rallies, but this includes a broadcast of the 2016 campaign event with which Mr. Trump claimed Mexico is responsible for an influx of drugs and crime in the United States. And this is actually 100% true here. Let's, I can just quickly debunk that claim here. Oops. Sorry. Yeah, this article from the Cato Institute, which is a pretty reliable source, says 77% of drug traffickers are U.S. citizens, not illegal immigrants. And so that means, and this is older. When was this? This was 2019. The current number is 30%. And 50% of federal drug trafficking convictions are of Latinos. The group of people that makes up like 15% or so of the United States population makes up 50% of the narcotics trafficking. And the reason, oops, sorry. Sorry. And so, where are these immigrants coming from? This is one of my favorite charts. Here's the percentages of the foreign-born babies in the United States. Look at that. That's crazy. Look at that. Woo! Damn! Hey, if you can't beat them, join them, right? Hashtag Latinas. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's where the immigrants are coming from. There's a quarter of them are coming from Mexico. Mexico is 150 million people, and so that's like 1.5% of the world's population or something. Or no, hold on, isn't that 1%? Yeah, that's like 1% of the people in. No. Yeah, it's like 1.5% of the people in the world. Something like that. 25% from Latin America. And Latin America and Central America, South America make up somewhere around like 5% of the world. And then there's a lot of people from Asia, but their birth rate's low. And then the birth rate in Europe is incredibly low anyway. So we're not going to get any sort of like more people coming from there. We're outnumbered over here. It's definitely a situation where we're now actually the minority of people in North and South America. So if they want to, they try to say they're a minority group, but the reality of the situation is that when you look at everybody in the North and South America combined, white people are actually a minority group. It is actually true. In fact, I live in Eugene, Oregon, where there's like what is it, like 80% white people or something, and like 1% black people or something. So like not everywhere in the country that you go has an equal ratio of black and white people. And so what was that about? What does that have to do with the article? I think that was a tangent. Oh yeah, so the Trump rallies, Mexico's responsible. Oh yeah, the tangent was about Mexico being responsible for all of the drugs here. Let me monitor my audio. I don't know what happened to the. Yeah, okay, there's the audio. Audio came back. Sorry. I'm having sound card issues. I apologize. I have to keep an eye on the audio because it's been dying, but I think I fixed it. The article continues to read on. Another broadcast was a recent rally in Tulsa where he described a criminal breaking into a woman's house as a very tough hombre. A Twitch spokesperson said changes were temporary, though he did not indicate how long it would last, and points to a host of problems with content on its site. Quote, hateful conduct is not allowed on Twitch. In line with our policies, President Trump's channel has been issued a temporary suspension from Twitch for comments made on stream. The offending comment has been removed. Mr. Trump's Twitch channel began streaming in October and has gained over 125,000 followers, over 113 streams. So basically, they want to control the narrative for the election. If they don't like what you're saying, that's hateful conduct. Why is it hateful conduct? Because they hate Donald Trump. Like when they say a group of people is a hate group, that means they hate that group of people. It doesn't actually mean that they're actually a hate group, because what exactly is a hate group? Like the KKK? Can you quantify exactly how much more hateful the KKK is than Black Lives Matter? Because I'm unable to actually quantify or qualify any of those qualities. It definitely seems as though both of them are just about as equally hateful to me. This next article from dailymail.co.uk, Twitter escalates their feud with Donald Trump by removing a meme. They say they're not after me, they're after you. The New York Times said the photo breached a copyright claim. And so what is this photo that they're talking about? It's right here. It says, in reality, they're not after you, they're after me. And so if you'll notice that I stuck the image here, we're actually looking at the image, right? But it's completely legal for me to do this. Why is this completely legal for me to do this? Let's look over here. Here is the copyright law in the United States. And so here is the claim of what it actually says. Oops. Sorry. Scroll down. So it says, subject matter of copyright, United States government works. In general, copyright protection under this title is not available for... Oh, hold on. Sorry. Section 107 here says limitations on exclusive use, fair rights, notwithstanding provisions in Section 106 and 106A. The fair use of a copyrighted works, including such use by reproduction in copies and phonorecords by any means specified in that section, for purposes such as criticism, content, news reporting, teaching, including multiple copies for classroom use, scholarships, or research, is not an infringement of copyright. In determining whether or not the use made a work in a particular case is fair use, the factors to be considered shall be: 1, purpose and character of the use, including whether such a use of commercial nature or is for profit or educational uses. Educational uses. Key one there. 2, the nature of the copyrighted work. 3, the amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyright works as a whole, and the effect of the use upon the potential market of the value of the copyrighted works. This one's key. What is the effect of Donald Trump using this image? The fact that the work is unpublished shall not itself bar findings for fair use if such finding is made upon consideration of the above factors. Okay, and so let's look at what the original post was. Here's the thing. So we're going to compare here side by side, because I'm legally doing this. I'm legally allowed to do this because I'm teaching you. Not only am I teaching you, I'm actually I am a real reporter. I'm actually an intellectual dark web journalist. So I'm actually not violating any sort of copyright laws here. But let's look at how much he used. So let's look. Okay, so we could see he took this, and if you cut this out, it definitely looks exactly like the original image, right? So right there, we got a ding. We got a ding right there. But let's look back here at what the law says, and it says the effect of use upon potential market or the value of the copyrighted works. And so did Donald Trump, did he cause the value of this article and this picture to go up or down? Is it going up or down? The value went through the roof. Boom! This picture was, everybody forgot about the picture, dude. It wasn't worth jack shit. This picture is only worth a bunch of money in an election season. So what Donald Trump did was he made the value of this product soar through tweeting it out. It's fair use by every stretch of the definition, because Donald Trump very specifically says he's teaching you. He's showing you. He says, in reality, they're not after me, they're after you. So this is a public statement from the government, from the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief of the military, someone who has the legal authority to send a drone strike to Facebook if he really wants to. He's teaching you that he's not the target. You're the target. You're the target. You have to understand China's behind this shit, dude. The target that China is going after the racist people, the poor people, and the 1%. Because those are the people standing between them and their Marxist utopia that they're trying to basically overthrow capitalism. And I think I went into fair use enough. Let's see, there was this other article. More information's on fair use. Here, So what do they mean by the amount, the nature of the copyright work? This factor analyzes the degree to which the work was used. It relates to the copyright's purpose of encouraging creative expression. Thus, using more creative or imaginative works, such as novel, movie, song, is less likely to support a claim of fair use than using a factual work, such as a technical article or a news item. In addition, use of unpublished work is less likely to be considered fair. So it was published. By every stretch of the definition, this is a fair use. Under our legal system, I just used it for fair to teach you. Donald Trump also, too, used it to teach you. So it was fair use. And they decided to go after him because I think basically Donald Trump was supposed to say, because I just recently got my first copyright strike on this channel. If you look around, you see copyrighted stuff. There's NPR logo. This is copyrighted. This logo is worth more than the New York Times article there that we just saw. This is the NPR logo. I mean, I don't know exactly how much that's worth, but you're trying to put some sort of value on what this is. NPR couldn't sell their product if we couldn't talk about NPR. And if I couldn't put the logo, there's logos all over stuff in my room. If you look around, there's logos. On the TV, there's Sony logos. I see TCL is the TV brand. And they couldn't sell their products if we didn't put, they're putting the brand name on the product. The thing that is copyrighted, that they have a copyright for, they put it on the product in order to sell their product, right? This next article from thedailymail.co.uk says, no more of Jared's woke shit. Donald Trump tells allies he regrets following Kushner's advice on criminal justice reform and will follow his own instincts as he calls Black Lives Matter a sign of, he calls Black Lives Matter a sign that, as he calls Black Lives Matter sign a hate symbol. President Donald Trump is regretting listening to his son-in-law Jared Kushner's advice on passing bipartisan criminal justice reform. Trump has pointed to the First Step Act when he came under fire for racism and when he needs to prove that he's helped Black Americans. But sources told Axios that he feels the bill, which he signed into December 2018, has hurt him politically. One person familiar with Trump's thinking described it as no more of Jared's woke shit. I like that. That is my favorite quote from this year. In fact, that's why I'll put it in. Since the death of George Floyd, Trump's fall from the presidential polls, fall in the poll. Donald Trump has had the same approval rating the entire time he's been in office, dude. It's always been just about around 40%, hovering somewhere between 39% and 44%. It's been that way for a long time. So every single time they're putting these polls in the newspapers, it's because they're trying to sway the election. That's why they're doing the polls. Who's paying for the polls? Do you think they're actually paying for polls because you pay for the news article and then you're paying to read that? No. Political parties pay for the polls. So Axios reported that Trump believes that he needs to unequivocally support law enforcement to successfully win re-election. Yes, please. 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 Whoever is supporting the candidate who's supporting the law enforcement, you got my vote, man. You got my vote. This whole thing with defunding the police is crazy. That is absolute lunatic nonsense. So what are they talking about with this mural thing? Do they got a picture of the mural? It's on the neck. I got another picture of it. So here's the... Here, let me get the mural. Here's the proposed mural. They want to put this out front of Donald Trump's or Trump Tower. And why do they want to put it in front of Trump Tower? Why don't they put it somewhere else? Because the whole thing has always been an attack on Donald Trump. When I helped start the 2016 Portland anti-Trump protests, I was the primary person who juiced up that crowd. I'm really good at amping up crowds. I will get thousands of people dancing at a music festival. I'm good at that. I'm really, really, really good at that. I started that because I hated Donald Trump, because I was a radicalized feminist, and I thought Donald Trump was sexist because he said, grab her by the pussy. And as it turns out, women have hypergamy instincts, which means they are naturally trying to find the best partner. Well, duh. And women they ovulate when they're around an alpha male. If they are, or if they're in the middle of ovulating and they're around an alpha male, they will have uncontrollable urges to want to have sex with the alpha male. Donald Trump is an alpha male. Women regularly come up to Donald Trump all the time and say, grab me by the pussy. That's what they're like trying to hump this guy. And so when he said women want him to grab him by the pussy, he was actually being serious. I mean, he was kind of joking the way he said it, but he was not joking. That's absolutely legit. Women do that. There's nothing wrong with it either. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. I wish that they would do that to me, but I'm not going to hate on the people that they're doing that to. But this is a sign of hate. That Black Lives Matter hates Donald Trump. You have to understand, a hate symbol is a symbol that when you see it, it means we hate this group. We hate these people. Black Lives Matter painted out front of Trump Tower means one thing. We hate you. It is a symbol of hate. 100%, it is a symbol of hate. So this next story from dailymail.co.uk says Nancy Pelosi tears into White House claiming it wouldn't brief Donald Trump on Russian bounty claims because intelligence was unverified as con after being briefed by CIA directors who spies knew. And so what they're talking about is that there was some unsubstantiated reports that Russians were paying bounties for dead soldiers in the United States. And it didn't reach Donald Trump's office because they thought it was an unsubstantiated claim, right? Like exactly what he said. And then basically the media has been doing this the entire time with Donald Trump. They've been attacking him for bullshit cockamamie reasons. And it's because it works. It's whenever the strategy they're using is the classic authoritarian strategy. You just tell so many lies that people can't tell what is true and what is not. And then people just start thinking it's Donald Trump and it's the Republicans because everything they believe is a lie because the Democrats have been fed a different set of facts. They've been fed it through Wikipedia, through Facebook, through colleges, through textbooks. And these facts have been manipulated by communists and Marxists. They've been doing it ever since the end of World War II. They've been engaging in propaganda campaigns to alter our timeline through altering our history books, through giving donations to universities. And it started out as the Russians. They were the boogeyman at first, but now the Russians are more capitalist and now they are more of an antagonist, and now China is the big bad wolf. But the Democrats are working with China. Democrats are up in their pocket. Like they are Chinese Nazi party hacks. And stop calling them the Communist Party. They're not communist. It's not possible to have Hong Kong where people have private ownership and be a communist at the same time. If you're a communist, it means everybody is on the same level. Everybody has the same amount of money, except for the government is strong. But once it starts turning into an authoritarian regime, well, then it turns into an authoritarian regime. and then it turns far right. And so this is what the Chinese don't want you to know, is that they've turned into a Nazi structure, because they have millions of Rouhani Muslims in, I forgot what kind of Muslims they were. Not Rouhani. Those were the ones in Indonesia that had the genocide happen to them. Rohingya Muslims. The Muslims they have in concentration camps there in China is what I'm talking about. They have a lot of really, really poor people. And then there's a lot of really, really rich people who are living up in these really fancy apartments in China. And that is called Nazi. They're trying to be the world's dominant superpower. They want Chinese to be the world superpower. And that is inherently a Nazi structure. And they've been covering it up. And the Democrats are helping them. So the Russians always put out disinformation. Like, they've been putting out disinformation ever since the Cold War. I'm not going to go too much into this article. I just don't think it deserves too much breath. Because these California Democrats are the most corrupt politicians in America. They literally aren't enforcing their border policies so they could boost the population of the state of California, so they can get more U.S. House of Representatives seats. And because 2/3 of the immigrants' children are voting for Democrats. So they're really trying to do it to rig the election. And what's going on is that Mexico is taking over Southern California. It's like most of 56% of illegal immigrants come from Mexico. 1 in 20 Mexicans is in the United States illegally, and the vast majority of them are in LA. In Southern California, right along the border there. Most of them are in pockets along the border. And these people down in Southern California are crazy. Like, they've been getting twacked out on drugs down in Hollywood and getting coked out as a mofo up in these skyscrapers with cartel dope. And the illegal immigrants are funneling in fentanyl and heroin. And we already just covered that. They're trafficking narcotics, man. There's like 10.5 million illegal immigrants in the United States, but they make up 30% of the federal drug trafficking crimes. Right? That's like less than 1% of the population. And Democrats don't care. They're corrupt as fuck, man. They don't care that Mexico is going to take over the 6th largest economy in the United States, or in the world. Right? And once they get enough people there, they can secede. They can just break off Southern California to join Mexico. And they have millions of people down there, and we can't do anything about it. That's the problem with illegal immigration, is when border towns secede. Remember when Russia annexed Crimea? Why did Russia annex Crimea? Because there was a lot of Russians who lived there. Why? Because they sent the Russians across the border to go move there so they could annex the place. They do that shit, man. Democrats are all about it. They don't give a fuck. As long as they stay in power, they don't care. They don't care whether or not your children are able to control the United States. They think you're racist. It doesn't matter if your children aren't racist. They think you're racist. So your children can't control America because they're white. These people are racist as fuck, man. All of these, like, the entire point of this Black Lives Matter thing is because the white feminists, which is a racist version of feminists, they think the black people are inferior. They think they're lazy, poor, and uneducated, and they need a white savior. That's the entire thing, is they think the black people are inferior to them, and they have to have somebody help them because they're inferior. You got to start looking at you got to understand, Democrats owned slaves. They started the KKK, and they opposed women's suffrage. They turned into white feminists because they couldn't win elections anymore because white supremacy had fallen out of popularity. And so they had to turn into white feminists because most of them were white supremacists. So they went, because they lost so bad on the women's suffrage thing, they turned into white feminists. This next article here from Newsweek, it says, Donald Trump still believes Corona will disappear at some point in time. It's like, this is this story repeats itself over and over and over and over again in the news. It's Donald Trump said something. Oh, yeah, take it out of context. What is it? What are they trying to say here? Donald Trump said COVID will disappear at some point in time. I'm so confused exactly what they're saying is going on. Because look, here's the charts of the COVID death rates. Here's the infections. Right? So here's the peak. Here's what was peak. And here's going into what they're saying is the second wave. Right? And so, but look over here at the deaths per day over time. And you could see, well, there's obviously a correlation here between the number of reported cases going up and there not being a increase in deaths, because the deaths went down, right? The deaths went down. So I live in Oregon. This is from, where is this at? This is covidusa.net. Sorry. covidusa.net. All kinds of information, really well-made website. So here is Oregon in my state. They just issued a requirement that people have to wear face masks indoors now. And so they're like, because they're like this. Like, okay, so here, this story from the Oregonian says, Oregon health officials have not seen any virus or coronavirus spreads at protest. It's from June 18th. It says weeks of jam-packed demonstrations in Portland and the rest of Oregon have not led to an uptake in new coronavirus cases. These people are fucking stupid. They're stupid. The state epidemiologist said on Thursday, these people are idiots. Let's go back here. Let's look at it again. So let me explain to you something completely obvious, right? So when you go to a protest and then you contract COVID, you have a very small chance of dying, but you will have a very large % chance of infecting other people. In fact, it's like you infect 2 or 3 people. The fact they didn't get sick because they went to the protest. They got sick because somebody else went to the protest. Duh! I mean, that is so stupid. That is the most stupid thing I've heard. And they make these jerks, these people, lunatic, ridiculously stupid jerks, making us wear masks inside. And look at how many deaths there are, two, right? And COVID's new, so like we're eventually going to get an immunity to this, or it's going to mutate and it's going to be like the flu, or it's going to go away, right? Because when you look at the death rates, well, look, well, they're going away. Why? Because the media wasn't covering it. The media was covering the George Floyd race riots. And what happened? They said there's another wave, a second wave. Why are they saying that? Why are they putting out this deliberately fake news? That's obviously bullshit. It's because they're making money hands over fist selling COVID test kits. That's why. This is a testing scam. The Democrats are so fucking corrupt, man. The level of corruption going on in the Democrats is unreal. And there's ones that are outwardly corrupt. Most of this stuff is just they're bozo stupid. It's like they blame the white man because they're not doing so well in life. And the reality of why they're doing so well in life, not doing so well, is because they're stupid, they're lazy, and they're a jerk most of the times. Just because you're nice 99.9% of the time does not mean you won't end up in a federal penitentiary for that other 0.01% of the time. This next article from Newsweek says Texas Lieutenant Governor refuses to take Fauci's advice as cases spike. Says he's been wrong almost every time. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick of Texas completely dismissed Dr. Anthony Fauci's advice on how to handle new surges in coronavirus infections, saying that the public officials have been wrong every time. Obviously, I mean, dude, infection rates that doesn't mean anything. Infection rates could be it could be 50% of people infected, but if we have 0 deaths, nobody cares, right? We care about the death rate. We care about the death rate relative to the flu and relative to what other pandemics are, like the swine flu pandemic. Sorry. Wearing a suit. It's getting hot in here. Let's get through it. I got a lot of news to cover, so we gotta get through these news articles. I am taking too long. So here's an estimation of the burden of the flu in the United States since 2010. And you can see that, there's at the bottom, we're going to get a lot of illnesses, fewer hospitalizations, and then a few deaths. But when you do this, when you do the math on how many deaths there are and just relative to the number of cases, so if you take, there's between about 250,000 to 750,000 flu deaths each year. And so, up to like 500,000 or 600,000, something like that. So when you do the math, breaks down in my state in Oregon, between 250 and 750 people die each year of the flu. It's like maybe like one, not quite every other day, but about something like that. And so far, 202 people in Oregon have died from COVID. All right, so it's looking like a moderate flu season here with COVID. It's been bullshit the entire time, and the thing is the mainstream media is just making all kinds of money hand over fist. They're making us wear face masks, but here, this article from CNBC says asymptomatic spread of coronavirus is very rare. World Health officials say, or World Health Organization says. I'm not going to listen to too much of anything from the World Health Organization. I think they are a horrible source. They need to be defunded. They should not be viewed as a authority on anything other than bureaucracies. But it's infuriating that they're making people wear masks here because it does not really stop you from getting COVID. It doesn't. Because these people, if you're coughing you're not going to go into the store and be like all up in the store. You're not. If you are coughing, you're going to go in the store and you're not going to cough when you're in the store because you don't want people looking at you, right? Duh. Democrats don't think about this shit because they're so dogmatic. They don't even do the most simple, basic fact checking. You're like, oh, well, does it help prevent me from getting it? No, it helps prevent me from spreading it. Okay. Well, why don't you mandate anyone who wears a mask or anybody who's coughing wear a mask? Well, no shit. If you're coughing in public, you should wear a mask. No shit. Don't spit on me, dude. That's gross. That's nasty. Don't spit on me, man. Don't. That's gross. These are basic common sense things. We don't need the government to come and tell us you're coughing, put something over your mouth. It's just basic ethics, dude. It's a moral. It's called cleanliness. It's actually one of Steven Pinker's universal morals. So there's one more. Trump said he's changed his tones on masks. This article from BBC says, coronavirus, I'm all in for masks, says Trump in a change of tune. Mr. Trump has also maintained that face coverings do not need to become mandatory to curb COVID-19 spread. They don't need to be mandatory at all. He again predicted the infection would disappear as the U.S. rate hit a record high of 52,000 cases per day. Yet the death rate went down. Obviously, infection rates don't really matter because the infection rates is a product of how much they're testing, right? This shows you how much they're testing. They're ramping up their testing efforts. It's been the same infection rate. It's been for a while now. They're just testing more because once the mainstream media starts putting out these articles to get you to subscribe to their newspaper and watch the ads, well, then they start making money, and then it becomes a system where the politicians and the businesses trying to make money are feeding off each other, and the mainstream media are all feeding off each other, making up this all this fear that you need to do whatever they say. And the Chinese Communist Party has also too been sending people ads through Facebook through their Chinese Nazi party. Let's call them CMP. That's what they are. The Chinese Nazi Party has been using CMP controlled companies to give you CMP propaganda through Facebook. It is true. It is actually 100% true. The article says, speaking to Fox Business News on Wednesday, Trump said, "I'm all for masks." When asked whether he would wear one, the president says, "If I were in a tight situation with people, I absolutely would." He said that people have seen him wearing one before. I would too. I'm not trying to spit on anyone, get my spit up at anybody's thing. If we got some problem with some bad flu or something, man, I'll wear a mask. If I'm sick. If I'm not sick, I'm not going to wear a mask because you don't spread COVID when you're asymptomatic, bro. It just doesn't happen. This next article from The Independent says YouTube removes 3 prominent white supremacist channels. The company also terminated 25,000 channels for violating hate speech policies. YouTube has banned a number of prominent users from its platform after introducing new rules at fighting racism and white supremacy. Because you don't have freedoms. You're not allowed to be a racist or a white supremacist. No, Facebook is in control of whether or not you're racist. You're not allowed to think that because they are the thought police. And they will come after you if you question the liberal dogma. The article says, David Duke, former Grand Wizard of the Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, Richard Spencer, an American neo-Nazi, had their accounts suspended. So who's the other one? Oh, Stephen Molyneux, a Canadian. He's not a white nationalist. This is bullshit. That's a lie. That's 100% a lie. Look into what Stephen Molyneux said that they're saying he was a white nationalist for. It's cockamamie bullshit. The dude was talking about how much violence there is in the black community and how much social justice warriors, like how the leftists are just batshit crazy. And he went to Europe, to Eastern Europe, because they're more conservative there. And he said, it was so nice to be around a bunch of white people who aren't being social. I'm paraphrasing. It's so nice to be around a bunch of white people who aren't being crazy, lunatic social justice warriors. That's basically what he said. And then that means now he's white nationalist. Because if you don't support illegal immigration, it makes you white nationalist. Because white people aren't allowed to maintain control over their own country. Nope, you're not allowed to. You're racist. You might pay taxes here. You might vote. You might own property. You might even have kids here. But you are not allowed to think that your children should control the United States, because that means that you're a white supremacist. Because the only people allowed to control America are Mexicans. Because if we don't stop illegal immigration, Mexico will take over America. It's true. It's the fact that we have a border. It's a fact that there's 150 million Mexicans on the other side. If we don't monitor the border, Mexico will slowly creep in and take over. No shit, Sherlock. Duh. But the Democrats don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck because 2/3 of the Latinos coming in are socialist. Dude. There's communist countries in South America, bro. Venezuela, ring a bell? There's literally socialists down there. They're bussing in and importing in socialists, giving them welfare to juice up their population. And the people they're sending over here from Mexico are definitely not the best. They're like the poor people. It's like you go into the city and you find a whole bunch of vagabonds, right? In the inner city. That is what they're sending us from Mexico. Not just a bunch of vagabonds from America. Vagabonds from a place with terrorist drug cartels that strap bombs onto people's chests and make them rob banks. And they gun down innocent families in minivans just to scare people. These are the people they're just letting come in. 4 out of 5 border crossers gets through. 4 out of 5. That's creepy. If you want to smuggle in an army of people to like take out America, yeah, the thing you would do is you would make it so we don't enforce our immigration policies. But it's always been, this whole thing has always been about the subscribers. You got to follow the money, right? I'm an entrepreneur. The reason why I know this is because I have a startup company called the A Startup, which is short for A Star Startup. I use artificial intelligence in order to minimize your chance of failure in your startup through use of artificially intelligent generated business models. And so I follow the money, right? Because I make software like this stuff. So, oh wait, hold on. I gotta say, what are we watching? It's from the American Press Institute. It says Chapter 6, Print versus Digital Subscribers, Demographic Differences and Paths to Subscriptions. This is from May 2nd, 2017. It says overall 58% of subscribers describe themselves as primary print-oriented, 28% are primary digital. Amongst newspaper subscribers, even more, 75% describe themselves as print-oriented. But these numbers look very different when we break down people among different demographic groups, right? So you have to start like breaking down these groups of people into where they live, where they're at, and you're going to start to see that it's sketchy as fuck. They're called hood Democrats. They live up in the city. They are, the hood Democrats are low income, big city people. And they vote for Democrats, obviously. The Democrats started the KKK word hoods. So we call them hood Democrats. And they also have white feminists. And most white feminists live in big cities. This is true. It's actually true. And at the top, you have they're all trying to make their way up to the top of the ivory tower, which is a metaphor for an incredibly savage, brutal, really insanely rich group of people. Because, like ivory, you think ivory tusks, you think of like really expensive things that are like illegal. That's when we say ivory tower liberals, that's what we're talking about. And so the ivory tower is disgusting the whole way up. And they are the people who are selling all of this fake news crap that I get to debunk here. And who are they? Look, we can see in print, we can see most of the older people. The older they are, the more print they buy. And then we see digital. We can see an inverse pattern. So the younger they are, the more they're going to be looking at the digital. And so typically it's because it's a price issue. They're younger. They don't have as much money. So these people are getting the free articles, right? These people, not a lot of them. There's more of them as they get older. And so the ones who are paying for the subscriptions are the older people. So the teasers that you get, all this fake news crap that you see on the internet, it's targeted towards these people. And so who are they? They're males. They're predominantly males, like almost exclusively males buying this stuff. Here's again print versus digital. We can see the same pattern. Here's payers.
more than half of print subscribers have paid for their favorite sources for 5 or more years. And so, but we don't, the demographics here, the paying ones, we can see they're older. They've been buying this for 5 or more years. That's the key here. And so we could see that they have a crowd of people who've been, that are their customer base, that they have to keep giving them the stuff that they're paying for. And then they have all of the crap fake news for the young people, mostly who are on Facebook. And so news content and price are key factors leading both print and digital users. Young people aren't going to pay stuff. They don't have a lot of extra money sitting around. So I'm going to let you go read the rest of that yourself. So let's see, else here in the news. Seattle finally shut down the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, or Capitol Hill Occupy Protest, or what was the other one? I don't know. It's like, it's not BLM, it's like Occupy Wall Street down there. But they attempted, I think they attempted to retake it, and that failed. The thing that triggered the city to finally do something was the businesses around them sued, and their lawsuit was compelling because the city basically just gave away public property to this group of people, and they brought in these concrete barriers, like we could see it over here. This concrete barrier, the city actually brought that in, literally brought that in, and it just looked like crap down there. Like, that thing was so embarrassing. I can't believe they actually let that crap happen. Here, let's watch the video of the police coming in. Yeah. Get him. Oh man, it just makes you feel good when you see these people on the ground. It's like, dude, I'm so sick and tired of these people. The video of the overwhelming police numbers used to clear shop, and we don't want to. I'm sitting here commenting over this thing, so I'm legally allowed to play this video, but it sucks that they like hit you with copyright strikes from bots. It's a bunch of whack bullshit. Like, that's not legal in any way, shape, or form. Bots don't own copyright to anything. They're not humans. They aren't a copyright agent. It says, we're not leaving until our demands are met. I mean, I can't believe it took them that long. Like, this is absolutely nuts that they actually... I can't believe they actually let them do that.
Black people, if the agitators come, they gonna say, look at them animals. Look at them acting like animals. Don't let the agitators mess it up for our black people.
Yeah, exactly.
Let them see we can be peaceful.
Yeah.
Calm. Focus.
We like people like that. In fact, when I'm not peaceful, calm, and focused, people are like totally not down at all, man.
The agitators messing up for the black race. We done made history.
There's also been riots in Portland again. This article from Oregon Live says Portland police deemed Thursday protest a riot for second time in 3 days. Woo! Second time in 3 days, man. Not everybody in Portland is crazy as fuck. In fact, I went to Portland State University, and I took a critical thinking class from Peter Boghossian, who's excellently that guy. You got to check out Pete Boghossian. That guy's amazing. He taught me how to think. He showed me all this stuff. A lot of the stuff I was believing was bullshit. So not everybody in Portland is batshit crazy. I personally helped start the 2016 Portland anti-Trump protest, I used to be radicalized. No, obviously I'm not radicalized. I have an intellectual dark web news channel, but there are more like me. I'm not alone here, so don't give up on us. The problem is that the lefties are too nice. They're winning by being nice and calling us racist and through a bunch of really childish shaming tactics. So this article says Portland protests against police violence culminated Thursday in a riot declaration only 2 days after a demonstration outside of Portland Police Unit headquarters was also deemed a riot. Just because you go home and get some sleep doesn't mean that when you go back the next day, it's a different protest and it's still a peaceful protest. It's a multi-day riot at that point in time. Like this is lunatic. Thursday night's protest started outside of Monmouth County Justice Center, and it remained subdued for more than 2 hours. But the event later took a turn, police said, with some demonstrators breaking into north doors of the Justice Center, breaking glass doors at nearby federal courthouse. Police declaring a riot and a fire breaking out inside of the courthouse. On Friday, authorities said Federal Protective Services officers had arrested Rowan M. Olson, 19, a.k.a. Kiefer Allen Rowe of Portland, on allegations of destroying government property in connection with the damages at the federal courthouse. He will remain in custody pending schedule on Monday. Blah, 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 blah. They're crazy, but we're dealing with our crazies. Yeah. I don't see them as completely winning. They're winning by hate. They're winning by making people hate people. But look, the reason that this stuff is happening is because of Hong Kong. It is. I been going a lot into about the Wikipedia scandal that's going on with China, and they have been sending out foreign exchange students to tamper with our Wikipedia to make it. They have their own version of Wikipedia because they are Nazis and they've been brutalizing and killing their people for a long time. Mao Zedong, ring a bell, killed hundreds of millions of people. Stalin also, too, another Marxist socialist, also killed like 60 million people or something, some crazy amount of people. And Stalin did, people think it was just Hitler that like went and killed the equivalent of the Jews. No, Stalin was the one who taught Hitler to go in and take out the 1%. Stalin did that. He is absolutely 100% guilty of starting the Holocaust. They were targeting the members of the 1%, and the Jews were the 1% back then, because that's how you take over. You take out the rich people who are influential. Then you got a bunch of poor people, and they're once you take out their leader, they are very susceptible to switching sides. So this article says China vows retaliation against Britain over plans to let 3 million Hong Kongers settle in UK after hundreds are arrested in crackdown as man who stabbed police officer is arrested boarding flight to London. Beijing's embassy in London said it firmly opposed Britain's offer and warned of a corresponding measures. Dominic Raab revealed that 3 million Hong Kongers after China Raab unveiled offer to 3 million Hong Kongers after China imposed draconian new security laws. The security laws prevent you from criticizing China or for promoting democracy or capitalism. But you're allowed to own private property, and that makes them not communist. You can't own private property in communism. It doesn't exist in communism. There's no such thing as private property in communism. That's only fascism. Only fascism has private property. That's the way it works. But they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that China is being Nazis. So what they've been doing is they've been altering our timeline to make it sound like World War II is caused by white supremacy instead of socialism, because they want to be the world's number one superpower. China wants to be Chinese people at the top, and they definitely don't want Muslims up there. They don't want the white people up there. That's called ethno-nationalism. That's the definition of ethno-nationalism right there. They don't like outsiders there. It's not. They
They bias it towards their in-group. They bias it towards Chinese. They bias it towards Chinese Communist Party officials. Hold on, no, they're Nazis. Stop calling them communists. They ain't communists. They own private property. They own businesses in America. You can't do that. In communism, it's physically impossible to do that. In communism, it means community owns everything. Not the government, the community. The government is only there to ensure that everybody's following the rules. But let's see, what do we got? We got some pictures of the crackdown. Here's a picture of Chinese foreign military spokesman Zhao Liang. Picture told reporter at a press conference today that all of the consequences shall be borne by the UK side after Britain drew up plans to offer residency to 3 million Hong Kongers. Do we have any pictures of these crazy, brutal people? I support this guy. That's a great picture, man. I support these people in China. Here's a video of the unrest. Police officer stabbed by protesters in Hong Kong amid unrest. Was that it? My heart goes out to the people in Hong Kong and China. I am fighting. I'm dedicating the rest of my life to helping these people in China get to be able to take out the Chinese Nazi Party, because what they're doing is crazy over there. There's the guy stabbed. Where did he get stabbed? That's what Nazis look like. All right, and with that, we're going to go. We still got more news shows. I'm going to take a real quick break. All right. So it looks as though we actually might have fixed the audio. The audio has been going down on the shows, but I think it was actually the sound card driver. So what's coming up next here? This next article from the Daily Mail says white woman is filmed pulling a gun on black family in a horrifying confrontation. Here is a prime example of fake news in the media. This Daily Mail is a tabloid. They are not. They say they're a newspaper. This is a tabloid. So let's look at the bullshit cockamamie stuff that Daily Mail is doing today. Please note, I don't do this. I don't put these news sources up here because they're legit. I put them up here because they're fake news, man. So here, let's look at what they did. So here's the video that they're trying to present to you as what happened.
Get away. She got the gun on me. He wasn't hitting me with the car. Call him. I'm telling. Get the license plate. Get the license plate. Get the license plate now. Because you were never about to hit me with the damn car. Okay? Don't put a gun on me, okay? Call Richard back up to the police. Call Richard back up here now.
They sound like the victims, huh?
No, I ain't jumping on your car. Don't point that gun on me. He was trying to hit me with the car when I was going back. You seen that? And then when I hit his car, he wanted to jump out the car and put a gun on me.
Wait. So let's look at the title again. It says, moment a white woman pulls a handgun on a black family in a Michigan parking lot after they harangued her and accused her of being racist after she bumped into them outside of Chipotle restaurant. And so it's making them, it's making this woman sound like a Karen. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to say this is Karen. But they're a little sneaky. They're sneaky. They aren't fully being liars. They're just concealing the truth in a deceptive way. So this is the full scene without getting clipped for the rage bait, race bait.
You're blocking me from getting in my car. No, we weren't. No, we weren't. No, we weren't. You're ignorant.
I want you to notice that there's one of them on one side of her, and there's one of her friends on the other side of her. So that she's surrounded.
Yeah, I said it. You say something, I'll beat your white ass.
And she's threatening violence against them. She's first right away. She's threatening violence.
Who do you
Your wife think you are?
You calling her name? She did nothing to you.
Yeah,
I did it. No, you didn't. You're very racist and ignorant.
You're racist because you're calling
No,
her
you
name.
bumped it. She bumped into me.
Because she bumped into me.
You cannot just walk around calling white people racist. This is not that type of world. White people
Why
are
would you
racist.
bump her?
No one's
Why
racist.
would you bump her?
I
Why
care
did you
about
say
you.
sorry?
I care
Why
about
did you say
you,
sorry?
and I'm sorry if you've
Why
had
did you
an
say
incident
sorry?
that has made
If you
someone
bumped
make
into
you
her,
feel
why
like
did you
that.
say
Doesn't look
sorry?
like Karen to me, does it?
I'm sorry if you had something like that happen.
Ignorant. Very. Ma, watch.
So they should have been over. Should have been. Oh, so they hit her car multiple times. Twice. We heard 2 bangs. And then she comes out with the gun because her kid's in the car. Yeah. That's legit, bro. That's a legit use of a firearm right there. That's why we have firearms, man. That literally, that's why we have right to bear arms. Is because there's no one that's going to be there to save you in the middle of the moment, man. Like, you got to save yourself, bro. You don't know whether or not these people are going to start pulling out weapons on you. Like, they're pretty aggressive so far. She's demanding, no, she's backing off away from them, and they're going towards her. They're chasing. She's trying to flee. She's trying to protect her family from people who are blocking her from leaving, hitting her car.
Ma, stop walking. They pulled the gun out on her.
See, they're playing the victim. You see, this is the problem with these people. You can't believe anybody when they say, I can't breathe anymore. You can't believe a single one of them. Black people say anytime they getting arrested nowadays. Now, the first words out of their mouth is, I can't breathe. Because they call him wolf. Little wolf callers. Look, you need to get your grades up so that you don't have so many police interactions, and you need to not be aggressive so that you don't have so many conflicts, so that you don't have so many police deaths. People are saying, oh, but there's so many more black people that are getting killed by police officers. Because there's like higher percent of black people killed by police officers than there are in the general population. But they don't tell you is that they're in big cities where there's mostly black people and lots of crime, high drug abuse problems, low GPAs, low rates of fathers in the home, high rates of single mothers, high rates of people being disrespectful in school. And they say that it's racism because they're crying wolf. The reality of the situation is Asians are the ones in America who make the most, statistically speaking. They're followed up. The immigrant group that makes the most amount of money are African immigrants from Africa. Right? So where's this? How is it discrimination? How is there systemic discrimination against black people when Africans are the highest paid group of immigrants in the United States, even higher paid than Asians? Higher paid than Asians. How? The answer is they're not from the big crime-infested cities run by Democrats. Ta-da! It's hood Democrats. They got a bullshit attitude about education. They're violent as fuck. They're aggressive. They will fight you or pull a gun out on you for talking shit, dude. These are the people who took over Black Lives Matter. They're not conservatives, man. They're leftist wingnuts. This next article from Newsweek says discrimination faced by African Americans is linked to high blood pressure. The study involved over 1,800 African American people. And rates of high blood pressure in African Americans in the United States are among the highest in the world, according to African Heart Association. More than 40% have the condition that can put a person at a greater risk of heart attacks, strokes, and other health problems. So what this is saying is black people tripping out about this systemic racism is giving them heart attacks. It ain't the racism. That shit just don't exist no more. Like whatever racism was back in the day when black people had it bad, that doesn't exist anymore, dude. They don't. In fact, that kind of hate right now is actually directed towards Republicans. You cannot sit here and tell me that hate that used to be directed towards black people is not directed at Republicans, because it is. I know this because I am a Republican. The hate's directed at me. People threaten me with violence on a regular basis because I don't believe in feminism and because I believe in working out and not being a beta male cuck pussy. Yeah, no, I believe in being the way that women want you to be. I believe that women want you to work out so that you look good, so that when you're having sex with them, they have an orgasm. And I know this might sound crazy to you Democrats because your penis is falling off because you haven't had sex in so long. But women like to get fucked. Wow, bro. Mind blowing, dude. She wants the dick, brah. Doggy style. Like she wants a 12-inch dildo. Just she wants you with your fist, bruh. She wants you to grab her by the pussy. That's what she wants. Right? But to these liberals, they're like, oh my God, that is fucking crazy. This guy's a misogynist. Because to them, any sort of criticism is hate. Because they put themselves into an echo chamber where it's a heterogamy or a heterodoxy, which means there's one orthodoxy. Heterodoxy is the worst thing that you can do. Absolutely the worst thing that you can do is heterodoxy. Bar none. You cannot come up with a single worse thing in the entire world than heterodoxy. Because every other horrible thing in the world comes from heterodoxy. Except for like naturally occurring things, right? Well, I mean, there are other random crimes, but most of the crimes comes from people being, it's intra-race, not inter-race, right? 5/6 of the crime in the United States is happens from people of the same race against each other. So that's because they have the same thoughts, and they're not. If they're more diametric, if they're like different from each other, they're not going to have those conflicts because you're more focused on the things that are like make you different and unique, as opposed to you justifying hating, killing, brutalizing, torturing the person because you hate that group of people and it's okay because they're white and that's not racist. That's the whole reason why the Holocaust happened, is because of intra-racial violence, not interracial violence. And they thought it was okay because it was just white people killing other white people. That's why they thought it was okay. You notice in World War II, they didn't target black people. Why? Why? Was that white supremacy? That's what they're trying to say, is that white supremacy was what caused the Holocaust in World War II. But the problem with that is the Americans were the white supremacists, and so were the Jews. Jews were white supremacists at that time. And so were the English. And so it can't be that World War II and the Holocaust was caused by white supremacy, because white supremacy is interracial as opposed to intraracial. So you could see, obviously, there's a discrepancy here. So these people, I don't even understand. See, you got to understand, in some of these big cities, upwards to 45% of these black people are unemployed. Percent of black men are unemployed. And it ends up being crazy. Like jobless rate, look, as a result, says young black men with 39% jobless rate, dude. That's crazy high. That is absolutely crazy high. And the reason, okay, so there's this myth going out around that, like, if you have a black sounding name, that it makes it so that you have a higher percent chance your resume going in the trash can. Turns out that's actually bullshit. It actually is more of your first name and as opposed to your last name. So if you use historically black names, if you just use the last name, the historically black name, or Latino name, there's no statistical difference in hiring practices. Like they're just negligible. But if your first name is Leroy, a name that you would give a white hick, right? No, hold on. This is a stereotype. I'm sorry. Leroy's cool in my book. Yeah, I like that name, bro. I ain't talking shit. But they, Leroy has the same percent chance of getting thrown in the trash can as Watermella. Why? It's because only a hood Democrat would name their kid Watermella, and only a redneck would name their kid Leroy, according to their stereotypical thought processes. And so it turns out there's no systemic racism against black people. It's, in fact, hood Democrats suck. Hood Democrats absolutely suck. And because they suck so bad, they have such a high crime rate. They have such a bad drug use problem. They have such a high single mother problem with such bad attitudes towards education. It happens to the black kids, the Latinos, and the white kids all up in the cities. So that ain't racist. That ain't racist. All of them got a bullshit attitude because they're growing up in the cities where fake news is flying around. And who are these groups of people who are bullying people up on the internet, who are forcing us to deplatform people, or else they're going to come target your business? They're all hood Democrats up on Facebook and white feminists. Most white feminists don't hang out with hood Democrats, dude. They think that they're superior to them. They think hood Democrats are inferior to them. That's why they throw their resumes in the trash can. That's why. That's why they're discriminating against Watermella and Leroy, because they think they're stupid. That's why the white feminists are out there protesting for BLM, because it's an equality movement. They think, oh, these poor inferior black people, they've been so wrong by the white man. The white man's treating them like a beta male. And so they need a white savior. You need to get your biggest bitch, privileged white woman to come in and say, I am Xena, social justice warrior princess. Where is the misogynist? I'm going to get him. And then they say, beta male attack dogs come. And they're like, I'm just a misogynist. And they're like, I am the white knight. I am the biggest dick. Take me to the imaginary misogynistic pig. I will confront him And this is the mentality that these people have, is they are a privileged white woman and they're saying, I'm underpaid. I'm underpaid. And the entire time, it turns out to be complete fucking bullshit. Complete fucking bullshit. It was never true in the first place. As it turns out, in a meritocracy, if a woman is capable of doing the same job as a man, they actually pay her as much or more because it's worth money. No shit. As you can see, this is Walmart collected this data. It's from a lot of different sources: Federal Reserve, Mass Mutual, Financial Group, Business Week, Gallup. It says women control more than 60% of personal wealth in the United States. They work 50 minutes less per day, yet they own almost 2/3 of the wealth. And they do. You're supposed to say 2/3 because it's going up to 2/3. It's almost at 2/3 now. They control 85% of consumer spending. So it's bullshit. They're not underpaid. They're lying to you. They're lying to you because the advertisers are trying to get the white feminist to ask for a raise at work so that they can spend more money. It's all an advertising scam by ivory tower liberals sitting up there in a ivory tower telling you about these policies that you should vote for that have really, really horrible impacts on low-income communities, but they don't live in your community. They're not low-income. Chances are they're from an affluent family with a stay-at-home mom. They had two college degrees in that house growing up. And that is the thing that's making these people wealth. That's why the black people aren't doing so good. Why they're saying, oh, it's discrimination. Except for one problem. It happens to almost everybody in the same class of people. It's not racism. It's called classism, dude. But where is the classism coming from? The ivory tower liberals. Dude, they're the worst about that. Ivory tower liberals are the textbook definition of class inequality. They're called ivory tower liberals, for God's sakes. They up there in the top day ivory tower. Do you realize how expensive and brutal as fuck it is to get that much ivory? And this next article from Newsweek says 40% of Asians, blacks, people reported negative experience among pandemic. 31% of Asian adults were subject to slurs or jokes because of their race or ethnicity, compared to 21% of African Americans, 15% of Hispanics, and 8% of whites. What's wrong with this picture? Is anybody good with math? I'm just going to give you a moment. It's math related. Why is this article complete fucking bullshit? Because white people make up 76.5% of America, dude. So what is 8% of white people? Well, there's about 330 million people in the United States, right? And then times 0.765, right? So there's 252 million white people times 0.8. So that's 20 million white people. Right. So then there's 21% of African Americans. They make up 35% of the population. So we're going to go 330 times, or 13.4%. I think that was the last I looked. Right. And then times 0.21. Oh, so that's half the amount of black people. You see, dude, they do this shit all the fucking time, man. These people, you start actually calling them out and looking at the facts, and you will see Newsweek is fake news. This is hardcore fake news, dude. I just showed you there's obviously some fake news going on here because there's 20 million white people that reported it, and there's only 10 million black people that reported it. That's twice as much, dude. But they're trying to make it sound like it's the other way around. Why? Why are they trying to make it sound like it's the other way around? Because they're trying to sell you something. They want you to subscribe to Newsweek. Who subscribes to Newsweek? We covered this earlier. Where was the thing? Sorry. Where was that? The demographics of the people who bought. Here it is. Got it. Who's buying it? Once you start following the money, you see that Democrats are extremely corrupt and very stupid, very selfish, very greedy, just assholes, general. So, who's paying? Once you start looking at who's paying, you start to see that ivory tower liberals are complete trash, and that hood Democrats are idiots, and that white feminists are only doing it for themselves. So, who are they trying to sell it to? The older people. They've been buying it the whole time, right? These people, this stuff, this is for their digital, right? And then so you're writing these stories, the digital ones for these people, and then they're writing the print ones for these people, right? More towards the older prints. Physical copy. You actually bought a physical copy. You're an older person. So those ads won't be in here. Those ads aren't going into the RSS news feeds. That's why this show's awesome. Real simple news. Because this is really simple syndication RSS news feeds. Here, this feed lab thing. And this is the epicenter of fake news. Once you start scanning through these RSS headlines, you're going to see, man, there's fake news garbage left and right. This next article from the Daily Mail says, oh, wait, sorry, we already covered that. Next article from New York Post says, Navy to sailors, don't buy LSD on the dark web. Better steer clear of the quote-unquote high seas. The Navy recently released a bizarre warning urging sailors not to buy LSD on the dark web because it's dangerous and they'll likely get caught. Officials said the often illicit internet marketplace sells users hallucinogenic drugs with quote-unquote perceived anonymity, but the feds have always been catching ... And so the gist of this article is that there's very good LSD on the dark web. Now, that's illegal, and I'm saying that you're legally not allowed to do that, and you should not do that. But if you do want really good LSD, it's on the dark web, bro. Apparently, it's like really hard to get busted, too. This next article from New York Post says, Florida sheriffs, I'll deputize gun owners if violent protest erupts. See, I like these black conservatives. This is my kind of guy right here, yeah. Article says, a sheriff from Florida says he's ready to deputize every gun owner in his county if violent protests erupt. Clay County Sheriff Daryl Daniels issued the warning in a 3-minute video Wednesday saying that he was ready to enlist the help of civilians if there's any demonstrations his deputies can't handle alone. Yeah, that's what we got the Second Amendment for, to protect the First. Because the First Amendment is under attack by these crazed, lunatic far leftists who are the thought police. You're not allowed to be racist. You're not allowed to be. This is America. You're not allowed to have freedom of speech because the lefties don't honor the Constitution. So you got to protect yourself. You're going to have to start stocking up on guns, bro. Like, you're going to have to. This is not optional anymore. This is mandatory that you have to start stocking up on guns because the left has gone fucking batshit crazy on Chinese propaganda getting fed through Facebook. This next article from the Israeli Times says, Movement for Black Lives plans virtual national convention. Thousands of activists will gather on August 28 via live stream to produce new political agenda to build on protests that followed George Floyd's death. And the gist of it here is that they did a donation scam. The whole entire Black Lives Matter thing is funded through donations. Who's in control of you, whether or not you see these donations? Facebook. In fact, you'll even notice that the donation button, Facebook even gets some money if you donate on their donate button. They get a cut. That's why they putting these ads, all this BLM propaganda up in your face, is because they making money on it. It's all a gigantic money-making scheme, dude. They got a massive amount of donations because they were trending. Why were they trending? Because of the Twitter and Facebook algorithms and because of George Soros funding, doing all these donation scams on moveon.org and change.org. I know this because I got a petition on change.org signed with 75,000 signatures, over 75,000. It was to hit Jeff Sessions with a writ of mandamus. And so I understand the mentality of people who are doing petitions. They're excited because their petition's trending, and then they want to do a donation drive. And then once they do a donation drive, then move on and change.org gets a cut of the money. So they're going to be the ones that are in control of whether or not you're trending, when it is. It's, again, they're going to make it politically expedient. It's going to be always near the presidential election. You can just count on more race riots from Black Lives Matter, because everybody else's lives don't matter, but theirs, because they're the most victimized wham-man. And so they're basically doing this because of the George Floyd death. The guy who tested positive for a lethal dose of meth, a lethal dose of fentanyl, and COVID. The guy that was complaining about not being able to breathe before he was on the ground. The guy that died had a heart attack in the ambulance. But I'm talking about George Floyd. Still, George Floyd was alive on the ground in the video when everybody thought he was dead. And when he was placed in the ambulance, he went into cardiac arrest because he was on a lethal dose of fentanyl. He was. It's true. It's actually true. That's what this is about. This is about them getting donations for fake news. It's a scam. Next article from the Daily Mail Online. It says, Deputy Prime Minister defends the nation's new coronavirus logo. The new Australian-made logo, which cost $10 million to create, was unveiled on Tuesday night and will be used to market Australia to the rest of the world. Wait till you. This is so stupid. This is so stupid. That's the logo. This. It looks like a coronavirus, dude. They spent $10 million on this logo that looks kind of like a coronavirus because they think it's a blank canvas. And that this was like, oh no, like that's when you go to Australia, you don't just think kangaroos, right? Like when I go to America, I just, when you go to America, you don't just think bald eagles, right? This is so stupid. See, I'm telling you, man, all of these lefties all around the world have gone batshit crazy and they're stupid. They're absolute idiots. Like this logo, this was cool. This Australian made, like that's badass. Got an arrow going that way. That's a good design. This is a coronavirus. This is almost as stupid as the European liberals. Almost as stupid. Now, I'm not bashing European conservatives, but the liberals in Europe are batshit crazy They are anti-free speech. They're socialist. And they believe in fake news. They circulate in fake news. The Australians are one step above. There are way more sane, rational people there. But the goody-goodies down there are just as moronic as the idiots in Europe. And they are not quite as hateful and stupid as the idiots here in the United States. Our lefties are just batshit crazy, hateful, angry people. But in Europe and Australia, at least they got a good vibe and they're happy chaps. Here, they're just mean, hateful people. They're just absolutely hating me. But whenever you take what the liberals here do here, because everybody around the world's been imitating us, and then you take it to another country where like they don't have the same culture, it then goes into lunatic land. It goes from just mean, hateful, privileged American up there in the ivory tower, and it morphs into just some just bizarre nonsense. And next thing you know, you end up with this. You replace a really good sign where there's a lot of these signs, so you want to replace it, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to replace it, dude. And they're going to replace it with this. That's stupid. That's stupid. I'm not going to waste any more breath on these people. Next article from New York Post says groom with coronavirus may have infected 113 people at his own wedding. I just want to be the first person to say, I do not give a fuck. I don't give a rat's ass. I'm glad that they got married and that some people were exposed, because that's the way that the world has always been. There's always been a risk of getting an infectious disease at every wedding, all throughout the history of human history. Like, it's literally always been like that. But we've never not gone to the weddings because of these plagues. No, we've mitigated the dangers when we came across them, and we've evolved to be absolutely ingenious, brilliant people because of it. But this is not news. This is called clickbait. This is intended to target the demographics here, these people, the younger people. And the reason why is because they're trying to get them to read the articles, and they're also trying to manipulate their behavior. They're trying to get the young people who would read these clickbait articles, right? These demographics of people, because that's the majority of them, right? They're trying to get these people, they're trying to affect their behavior. That's what they're trying to do. They're not, this isn't news. This is fake news. They're trying to control your behavior because they're ivory tower liberal scumbag pieces of shit sitting up in a ivory tower saying whatever the hell you want to hear to get you to like on the post, buy the product, and vote for them because they're scum. Ivory tower liberals are scum. This next article from NPR says another unwanted U.S. record, 500 new coronavirus cases in one day. And as you can see, they don't say anything about death counts. I don't care how many people are infected. It could be a 100% infection rate, but if no people die, nobody cares. Nobody gives a rat's ass. Like, oh, well, it's just like flu. It's because it's trending again. Come on, man. That's all of this stuff is to control politics, to get you to spend money, and to control you. Because once the Democrats start taking this power and getting it, they're not going to give it back to you, dude. Like, you're crazy if you think they're going to give it back to you, dude. No. Now you're wearing a fucking mask in public for the rest of your life. Fuck you. Fuck you, buddy. You can suck the shit out of my asshole. I'm not going to wear your stupid fucking mask. You're going to have to kill me. I'm willing to die to not have to wear a fucking face mask, dude. This next article says U.S. coronavirus death toll may be almost 30% higher than officially thought. 28% of the 122,300 excess deaths from the United States from any cause from March 1st to May 30th, 2020 may have not been attributed to COVID. These people are so stupid. They're so fucking stupid. So this is the excess deaths. So when you look at the predicted deaths that we were going to have, we had 122,300. This was as of yesterday, right? But then you go look at the deaths, the numbers, and it says 130,000. But now they're saying, 30% higher. So they're saying, it might not have just been 70% of these deaths were COVID related. Oh, no, it was more like 100%. So, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but the more important number is total numbers of deaths. Total. Not this year. Total number of deaths throughout time is the number that we care about. When you look at the flu, the body count stacks up almost to the moon. It's huge. It's absolutely monstrously huge. And so how many people have died total so far is about the same amount of people that die every year from the flu. Now, understandably, yes, now we have double the risk of flu now. Still don't care, dude. When there was a swine flu pandemic, I got it. I got H1N1. I was shaken. Felt like I was going to die. And nobody was concerned. Nobody. Like, they brought it up. Nobody was wearing masks, dude. There was no face mask mandate. This was recent. This was 2009 was the swine flu. I think. I think it was 2009. Yeah. That was like 11 years ago, man. And there was 600 and some odd thousand deaths just from that strand of the flu. Just from that strand of the flu. That does not count the other strands of flu. That's way more than the COVID death count so far in the entire world. It's always been fake news. All this COVID shit has been fake news bullshit the entire time. Here's another example. Here's more fake news. So this article from the Daily Mail says California trucker uploaded tragic Facebook post before dying of coronavirus. You're supposed to say COVID. There's lots of coronaviruses, dude, and people get coronaviruses. It's called a cold. Yeah, it's literally called a cold. So it says the post said, quote, "Some of you know, but most don't. I fucked up, went out a couple of weeks ago, and I contracted coronavirus. Monday, I tested for it, and I was confirmed on Thursday. Because of my stupidity, I put my mom and my sister and my family's health in jeopardy. This has been a very painful experience. This is no joke. If you have to go out without a mask, practice social distancing. Don't be an idiot like me. Thanks to all of my friends." Okay, so where's the problem here? Give you a little time to think about it. At what day number are you going to be hospitalized from COVID? 2 weeks? No. It's going to be 5 days to a week, and you're going to be in the ICU. You're going to be on a ventilator. He didn't get COVID at the party. That's a lie. It's a lie. He didn't get it at the party. He got it somewhere else. He didn't get it at the party because he would have said 1 week ago, I got COVID 1 week ago at a party. But he said 2 weeks ago, and 2 weeks is the point in time where he would have already had been better by then. It's fake news. This stuff is so pervasive. I don't even have to actually look very hard for fake news to fill. I can fill this show up with fake news. Like, I'm not even going to be able to read all of the stuff that I have because we're pushing 2 hours, right? Like, here, I'm going to read 2 more. We got 1 more. Well, let's see. I just got to check to see if there's anything else in the thumbnail that I'm just going to ditch the rest of the stuff because I am done. I did want to look at this picture. I really care for the people of China and for the people of Hong Kong. Let's fight for them, man. But hey, here, yeah, I'm just going to read 1 more, 2 more. We got 2 more. Wait, 3 more. We got 3 more. All right, next story from the BBC News. Jeffrey Epstein's ex-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. How do you pronounce that? Ghislaine Maxwell has been charged in the United States. She's accused of grooming underage girls for the pedophile Jeffrey Epstein and lying about it. So when you call somebody a pedophile, that means they're sexually attracted to prepubescent girls. That didn't happen with Jeffrey Epstein. He was perving out with some rave girls who were doing drugs and having a bunch of parties, doing ecstasy, and they had a hooker prostitute network. And they weren't all underage. Most of them were above age. But statistically speaking, when you have an 18-year-old prostitute, you're going to have a 17-year-old prostitute. When you have a 17-year-old prostitute, you're going to have a 16-year-old prostitute, and so on down the line. But I personally think that that there's a high probability chance that Russia was exploiting Jeffrey Epstein's network because they were getting drugs. They were doing drugs. They were look at the place where they were at, where that pedophile island or orgy island. Orgy island is probably a better word. You look at that. That's the place in the world where it would be very easy to get a bunch of drugs. It would be. So Jeffrey Epstein was definitely known for having drugged out sex parties with a bunch of young women. They weren't all teenagers. Jeffrey Epstein ran a modeling agency that brought the world a number of the world's most famous models, and most of them were over the age of 18. And so it's not true that he was just a pedophile, but this is great. It'll be great to see Ghislaine Maxwell go to court because we can actually confront this QAnon thing, because there's a very good chance that the Russians were using the Epstein prostitute network to get compromat on people. This is not crazy. There's nothing crazy about that. We know Russians use prostitutes and drugs to get compromat on people. They do that. They obviously would exploit a hooker network with teenagers in it to get compromat on people like Bill Clinton associated with that group of people. So we need to get to the bottom of it. Here, this next article from Newsweek says Republican candidates linked to QAnon are racking up primary wins. There are at least 9 candidates who've demonstrated some support for QAnon appearing in the ballot on November. And I think that until we get to the bottom of this, we should all of these candidates that we're supporting should be QAnon supporters. If you are not on board with the QAnon boat, you are potentially working for the other side, because we need to know whether or not Russians are exploiting this to get compromat on people. Have they compromised the Democratic Party? Did they film Bill Clinton having sex and doing drugs with minors on an airplane with Jeffrey Epstein? Because they know that he was there. They know that. We need to know how far does this go? Does this lead to Obama? Because Obama had Trump's wires tapped, which is it's not a really bad way to say it. They did unlawfully surveil Trump Tower. They did. Why? Why were they putting out all of this fake compromat stuff, disinformation in the Steele dossier? Why did they say Trump had a golden showers party with hookers in Russia? Because they couldn't get compromat on him. So you have to ask the question, because Russia put out that stuff to make Hillary Clinton win. They weren't trying to make Trump win. Trump was the one that they could not get compromat on because he's not trying to get to the top of the ivory tower. He owns the golden tower. Trump wouldn't sell. He doesn't do drugs. He doesn't party. He's a businessman. He's a family man. So you have to ask yourself, do they have compromat on Obama and Biden? This is a very, very, very important question. This isn't something that you could say, well, we don't know whether or not that's happening. So what does the article say? It says the latest candidate to join the list is Lauren Boebert, a restaurant owner and gun rights activist who defeated five-time incumbent Representative Scott Tipton in Colorado's Republican primary on June 30th. Trump had endorsed Tipton but celebrated Boebert in a tweet Tuesday, writing, "Congratulations on a really great win." Boebert previously expressed her openness to the Q movement in May during an appearance on Steel Truth, an online show hosted by QAnon believer Ann Vandersteel. So just to be clear, I don't know whether or not I believe in QAnon. I'm an engineer. I think critically. I took critical thinking and AI philosophy in college. I took a lot of philosophy in college. So I took 2 critical thinking classes. I know a lot about, I'm a computer programmer too. And I'm an amateur attorney. So I know a lot about law. I know a lot about law. And I don't believe nonsense. And everything that I've heard about QAnon sounds pretty legit, dude. I'm not going to tell you it is. I'm just presenting you facts. I'm going to let you come up with that. I'm going to tell you, you need to think for yourself. You need to not listen to these fact checkers on Facebook who are like that video that I showed in the beginning. We could see, where's the thing? This video, from Leroy Jenkins, the COVID 9/11, the deep state insurgency, the video from the beginning of the show that had the false information claim from Facebook, and that we can see they don't tell you who fact checked it, where it came from, right? There's no usually when you fact check things, you have some sort of link to an article that says this isn't true, right? Obviously, I'm not crazy. There's obviously a thing that says false information on it. And you go in and it's got, you go through and it really does present the information. Most of the things are from legit news sources. There's nothing in here from suspicious sources. It's not, I don't even know what claim they're saying is not true. I have no clue. I can't tell you what it is that they're saying is not true because they don't tell you. They just say, oh, it has false information, been verified by somebody. And the thing you got to start asking the question is Facebook doing this because they are involved in illegal activity? Is Mark Zuckerberg guilty of a federal felony crime? Is the Facebook management, are they guilty of working with the Chinese? Are they guilty of exploiting the Epstein pedophile network themselves? Because they have an encrypted messaging protocol on Facebook. You can exchange child pornography over Facebook. You can do that. In fact, people do. They literally exchange child pornography on Facebook. They do it through the dark web, dude. And so Facebook is supposed to be monitoring Facebook for pornography so that kids can't see it. But they have this encrypted messaging thing. And so what they've done here is they've edited this content. They've said, I've gone through and I've checked. And it said this was fake. That's the act of an editor. Do they do that for everybody's thing? Oh, so no, they just selectively go through it and pick stuff out, right? Why? Because they're engaging in a massive illegal corruption operation with the Democrats. They're covering up felony crimes. I'm going to go out here and levy the allegation because I've seen enough information that I can say I am reasonably convinced that Facebook has been violating multiple federal elections campaign crimes and also engaging in a number of different felonies through this whole publisher scheme, because they're supposed to be like a telephone carrier. They're not supposed to interrupt our conversation. Imagine if we were talking on the phone together and I'm talking about this QAnon thing, and then all of a sudden Chinese people, the Chinese Nazi party gets on the phone and they said, what your friend just said is not true. It is fake news. It has been debunked. You are not allowed to have any sort of memories of this conversation. And they delete your call log that you called your friend. Imagine if the phone company deleted your call log for criticizing the Chinese Communist Party or the Democratic Party. That would be insane. That would be insane. This is why Facebook is getting a pass for tort lawsuits like the New York Post gets, like any newspaper. If you commit libel, tort, or libel, slander, or some other tort offense, you can get sued. But people like Facebook are supposed to be a information service. They're supposed to be just categorizing the information, man. They're just supposed to be categorizing it. But what they're doing is they're trying to boost their advertising money. So they're allowing people to distribute child pornography, which they're getting a pass from these tort lawsuits because they're supposed to be protecting kids from obscenities and things that are akin to obscenities, which obscenities means pornography in particular, because you can't send it across state lines. But what they've done here is they've edited the piece just like the New York Times would. They've editorialized it, and they said, no, these people are talking about crimes. These crimes happened on Facebook. Facebook was aware that the crimes happened, and so they have to cover up the crime by putting this false, the conclusion : false. The conclusion should say Facebook is guilty of felony crimes. They're guilty of felonies, federal election tampering. They're guilty of working with enemies of the United States in order to subvert our democracy so that they can make more money on ads. That's because Democrats are corrupt as fuck, dude. This last one here, this one's a special one. This one's from the New York Post. It says Harvard grad Clara Janover fired over TikTok stab threat, now raising money online. And so if you haven't watched the video, here's the video.
Sheer nerve to say all lives matter. I'm gonna stab you. I'm gonna show you my paper cut and say my cut matters too.
An analogous joke that Trump Twitter thought was real.
Okay, so in her defense, she was trying to make a very poorly made point that she could have a paper cut and then she could stab you and then... Hold on, this logic really doesn't make sense. Now, it kind of made sense. Not really, actually, she's saying, if she really is saying there, if you say all lives matter, I'm going to stab you. Because in the moment, she wanted to stab somebody for saying all lives matter. That's what she wanted in that moment, was to stab someone for saying all lives matter, because she was pissed off because somebody said all lives matter, because they don't agree with free speech. No, they're the thought police. They're the thought. And she might even be a thought. But, so you're going to need to get guns to protect yourself, because these people are crazy as fuck. And they don't back down. So, sorry, I was supposed to actually have this one up here. Where was this? This was in St. Louis. Here's this next story here. The last story, and then I'm out. And this one is from, I don't know about this. Let's look at the source. I'm not logged in. It's probably legit. We know this story is legit. I don't know about this news source. But I saw a green flag on there, but I don't know. So it says, watch, St. Louis couple emerged from mansion brandishing weapons to BLM protesters. And so hold on, wait, background story. So these people are in a private gated community, and these BLM people tore down the gate to the community, and they went through, and they're just acting like they basically own the place. And they're telling them to get out of there. He's like, look at it. He's got the gun pointed at his wife. These people are a threat to no one but themselves. Please. I mean, these people aren't. Man, that is a really nice house, man. The article says 2 individuals it says video of a couple brandishing firearms near Black Lives protesters outside of a St. Louis mansion has gone viral. Protesters appear to have entered a gated private street, which led to the couple emerging from the house and seemingly pointing their guns at protesters outside of the home. Looked like they were pointing the guns at themselves, if you ask me. But so the 2 people, does this talk anything else about it? Is she pointing the gun at his head right now? These people are so memeable. It was an AR-15. Oh wow! Woo! Damn, that's a nice house. Damn. They did. I think they. The cops filed charges against. I think it was like aggravated assault. I don't remember. I'm not going to go too far into it, but I have to go to the bathroom, and it is over 2 hours. The show is supposed to be 2 hours, but I'm having fun, so I'm going to take off. Thank you for watching this show. My name is Cale McCullough, captain of the Kabuki Starship, which is a metaphor for my startup company, captain of a sinking ship. Although I actually do have a design for an interstellar starship. It's called a Kabuki Starship, and it exploits black hole physics, and it uses this crazy physics where the relative velocity is 0. And it allows you to theoretically break the light speed. Theoretically. It's actually true. there is actually a way to actually break the light speed with a Kabuki Starship, a light speed barrier. And the reason for that is because the absolute velocity is 0. Yeah. Or sorry, the relative velocity is 0. The relative velocity. When you make the relative velocity of 0, now all of a sudden you can break the light speed barrier. Theoretically. But you have to come up with enough stuff. That's where it's probably not going to work out on any sort of human time scale. but theoretically it could work. But thank you for watching. Again, I'm Caleb McCullough, captain of the Kabuki Starship. And like I say every time, farewell, sayonara, aloha, peace be with you, and Godspeed in your journeys, friend. And tell your mother I said hi.